if I was going to talk to you and explain to you Pluto over a cup of coffee before the kids wake up or before the first work email hits your inbox, before the whole world starts waking up and asking things from you, this is what I would say. Because Pluto is going retrograde. But before we even discuss what that is, we need to understand what Pluto is. Pluto is not the energy of try harder. Pluto is the energy of come home to what is true. It is part of life that lovingly, relentlessly removes what is false. Not to hurt you, not to punish you, but to bring you closer to the divine. To bring you closer to the divine version of yourself, the one underneath the performance, underneath the survival mode, underneath the masks you had to wear to be accepted, chosen, safe, successful, strong. And if you are a person longing for more spiritual connection, this matters deeply because Pluto is often the force that clears away the noise so you can finally hear from the divine again. So what Pluto feels like in real life? Well, it kind of feels like the season when your old life no longer fits, but the new one has not fully yet arrived. It can look like the end of a relationship, a career shift, a grief wave, a healing crisis, a truth you can no longer unknow, but it could also feel like a quiet moment where you realize I cannot keep abandoning myself like this. That is Pluto. Not chaos for the sake of chaos. That's a different planet. Transformation for the sake of alignment. As an everyday woman, someone who holds family, marriage, work, responsibility, intuition, leadership, softness, and strength all at once, I know that's not too much, right? I think Pluto, as that deep inner knowing, says to us, you can keep controlling everything from fear, or you can surrender to become real. If you're spiritually hungry, Pluto is important because it teaches us to surrender. Not passive surrender, sacred surrender. The kind that you stop gripping so tightly to who you were supposed to be, who your parents told you needed to be. You let the divine reshape you into who you actually are. Pluto takes us into the underworld of the soul, the hidden rooms, the grief we never processed, the shame we carried from childhood, the power we gave away, the anger we judged, the wounds in our feminine, the distortions in our masculine. And in that dark space, strangely enough, God is still there. That is when people truly have those revolutions, those moments where they hear from the divine. That is what it took to take them there, to reveal that. And sometimes it's even more clear than that, because Pluto teaches that the divine is not only in the light, the ease, the blessings, and the answered prayers. The divine is also in the composting, in the unraveling, in the death of the old self, in the holy rebuild of who you are. But for the collective, for your group of friends, Pluto is exposing what can no longer stay hidden. When I think about Pluto and the collective, I think about humanity being asked to grow up spiritually. Pluto exposes shadow. Personally and collectively, it brings up power, secrecy, corruption, control, trauma, obsession, inequality, buried pain, and everything we thought we could keep hidden forever. In modern astrology, Pluto became part of this symbolic language that the astrologers used to talk about, deep transformation, but those symbolic meanings were spiritual interpretations, not scientifically established physical influences yet. You can find more about that in Britannica. So when the collective is going through a Plutonian season, it can feel like the world is cracking open. Systems begin failing, truth comes out, old power structures shake. Families break inherited cycles, women reclaim their voice, men are asked to redefine strength. People start waking up to what has been normalized, but is not sacred. That is Pluto in the collective. Not destruction for its own sake, but yet revelation. It says what is built on fear, domination, denial, disconnection cannot carry the future. And it ends now. As a woman rebalancing feminine and masculine energies, which is what I teach and talk about, this is how I would say it. My feminine side hears Pluto as feel it, grieve it, intuitive it, let the old skin fall away. And my masculine side hears Pluto as tell the truth, take responsibility, cut what is misaligned, rebuild with integrity. Healthy feminine energy lets transformation be felt. Healthy masculine energy helps transformation be embodied. Pluto asks for both. Because healing is not just crying in the bath with a candle on. Healing is not just making a 5-step plan and pushing through. Real healing is both soft enough to listen and strong enough to act. That's Pluto. And what Pluto wants from us as humans, it wants honesty. It wants us to stop calling numbness peace. Stop calling control safety. Stop calling self-betrayal love. Stop calling burnout success. Stop calling spiritual bypassing healing.
Can I play on phone?
Yes, you can play on the porch. We're busy mamas. We need to keep it basic and keep it clear. It asks, what are you pretending not to know? What are you still carrying that was not yours? What are you gripping onto instead of trusting? What false identity is God trying to free you from? And for the collective, the questions become, what systems are built without soul? What truths are resurfacing now? And what must die so something more sacred can live amongst us? Here's a gentle reality check about science and spirit, because I'm all about being the realistic spiritualist. Scientifically, Pluto is a distant dwarf planet in the Kuiper belt, I believe, and there is no accepted scientific evidence that it directly influences human fate or personality. NASA describes Pluto as a dwarf planet, and the exploration by New Horizons had showed it to be far more geologically and atmospherically complex than that. But spiritually, many people use Pluto as a mirror, a symbol for the soul's journey through death, rebirth, shadow, healing, and empowerment. So whether you meet Pluto through astrology, through prayer, contemplation, grief, therapy, or your awakening, it's an invitation. All the same, become more real. Lovelies, Pluto is not here to scare you. It is here to strip away what is not sustainable, expose what is not aligned, here to call you back to your soul as a busy mama, juggling life. It is here to teach you that endings are often disguised beginnings, and remind you that the divine does some of its deepest work underground, where no one applauds us, where no one sees us busting ass, but that's where the roots are forming.
I'm gonna need a sewer.
So if your life feels like you're shedding, cracking, stressing, deepening, simplifying, or asking more truth from you than ever before, you may not be falling apart. You're just being initiated. And that is very much Pluto.